I hope you're well. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the Cozy Autumn book tag, which was started by Lucy at the Book Bell, and I will link her video in the description box below. And I really couldn't resist, even though I do realize it's kind of late in the season and practically winter at this point. But I love fall. I love sweater weather. I love boots. I love seeing the leaves change color. I love Halloween. I love curling up in front of a crackling fire with a cup of hot chocolate and a book and just being cozy inside, for lack of a better term. Now that we've gotten that cliche preamble out of the way, because I do realize I am a cliche, let's dive into it. So, question number 1. What book always reminds you of fall? And without a doubt, the answer to that question is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I think that's because I personally consider this book the quintessential monster story. And monsters make me think of Halloween, which inevitably makes me think of fall. It's one of those books that I read in high school that I thoroughly enjoyed. The more I've learned about Mary Shelley, the fact that she was 21 when she wrote this, I believe, just always blows my mind. It's a book that it encapsulates everything that is the spooky season for me. And as you well know, I love the spooky season, even though I am a wimp when it comes to horror. But yeah, so there we have it. So question number 2. What is your favorite autumnal book cover? And that is, without a doubt, this edition of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. I did do a rereading review of Rebecca in time for the Netflix movie, so I will put that in the cards for you. But I don't know if it's the fact that Rebecca also reminds me of the fall because it is a gothic novel, romantic suspense, or if it's the fact that this cover is like these rich dark chocolate and the gold gilt and this rich burst of almost like a blood red or the color of fall leaves coming from the bottom that just scream fall to me. This is a UK edition. I think it's Virago Modern Classics, and it just makes me think of fall in this really classic and minimalist way, I guess. Question 3, I think. What is your favorite autumnal drink to read with? So, one of the non-cliche things about me is that I am neither a coffee drinker nor a tea drinker. I have never developed a taste for coffee, and I'm pretty sure tea is a mental block with me at this point. I just don't enjoy them. If I want a cozy drink that's going to warm me from the inside out, my go-to is a cup of hot chocolate. Milk chocolate preferably, but I don't usually discriminate. And if you add some marshmallows, chef's kiss. So if I want something that's going to warm me up on those cold nights, it's definitely a hot chocolate. I am also a huge fan of cider, both hard and non-alcoholic. So if I just want something refreshing, that's also a go-to for the fall. Question 4. Do you prefer to read late at night or early in the morning? I am an early morning reader. Actually, I am just an early morning person in general. It's very rare for me to sleep past 5:36 in the morning, even on the weekends. So I will wake up and spend the next hour to an hour and a half usually reading before I go to work out or get ready for work. It's how I decompress and get myself in the right mindset for the day. Usually, because my work days tend to be very long and exhausting, I don't always have the energy to do a lot of reading after work. Occasionally I will, but it's not my preference. After work, I very much rather be watching Netflix or checking out videos on YouTube or sleeping. So yeah, I am definitely a very, very, very early morning reader. So, question 5, I believe. I'm gonna stop giving a number because I know I'm gonna run into issues with that. Halloween is coming. What is your favorite spooky read? I am a chicken, so I don't really read horror. I don't really go for thrillers. Probably the last horror film I watched was back in high school, so 15-ish years ago. It's just not me. I don't do well with them. And so my choice for spooky read is probably going to be very tame for a number of you. But I'm gonna choose Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, which I already described to you as a gothic novel, and I think that's why it gives me the spooky vibes. There's this sense of foreboding throughout the entire book, and the presence of Rebecca, Maxim de Winter's first wife, just haunts the second wife and the house Manderley, and it's about as spooky as I can get without potentially being kept up at night for the next month and a half. So yes, this is gonna be my choice. So the next question, what is the ultimate comfort read for you? So it's been a minute since I've read this book, but I'm going to choose Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I don't know what it is about this book. I have a feeling it is the wholesomeness of the March sisters and the story itself, this familial sentiment, this fairly low stakes story that is just heartwarming to me. And so when I think about coziness, that's just one that I read it and it just fills me with warmth and love and tenderness and all of that sort of thing. So it really is a book that encapsulates, that captures that cozy autumn essence for me. And the funny thing is that the scenes that actually stick out to me years since I've read it are actually set in the winter, but still I think the overall tone and the characters themselves it's just a bunch of people I would like to know. So yeah, there we go. So up next, what is your favorite autumnal reading snack? So there are 2. The first is a loaf of my freshly baked bread. I was making bread months before making a sourdough loaf was like the pandemic pastime. I started this journey well before that, and I love making a nice French bowl or a brioche. I make an A+++ brioche loaf, or a semolina loaf. I also made croissants recently, but there's nothing better than a warm piece of freshly baked bread with a little butter on it. If, however, I am not in the mood to go through 4 to 6 hours of labor to produce a loaf of bread, my other go-to would be freshly popped kettle corn. I love the sweetness. Popcorn is one of my favorite snacks, and I think it's the kettle corn or the caramel corn just scream fall to me. So there you go. Alrighty then. What is your favorite autumnal candle to burn whilst reading? Another thing that is probably not cliche about me is that I am not a big candle burner. I do have a couple sprinkled around the room. I can probably count the number of times I've lit them on one hand. They're really more decoration because of the jars and canisters that they're in for me. So yeah. So, when you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? That would be baking. As I mentioned, I love baking bread. I love pastries, cookies. I've been working on a dupe of the Levain cookie that's famous in New York, different versions of it. Basically anything sweet, and the more complicated the recipe is, the more likely I am to attempt to make it. I don't know why. But the other thing is definitely movies. I am a huge movie fan. I love classic movies, especially black and whites from the 40s and even the 50s, some 30s too. And I am a chronic binge watcher of Netflix and Amazon Prime, BritBox. I have a collection of movies that I watch and rewatch. Most of them have Helen Mirren, Kristen Scott Thomas, some of my favorite actresses starring in them, but because I'm a serial rewatcher, I will literally watch the same movie multiple times in a day. So, yeah. So, baking and movies. So, the last question. What is your autumn reading list? Funny you should ask that, because I have several videos that talk all about what I'll be reading this fall. The first is my Victober TBR, which I'll put in the cards for you. And that is all of the books that I'm reading for the Victober Readathon, which is focused on Victorian literature. And then I also have a video on my spooky Halloween TBR, which was essentially a list of nonfiction books that, based on their subject matter, I just thought would put me in that Halloween-y spirit. Disclaimer, none of them are super scary, to be honest, because I'm a wimp. But yeah, so there's that one. And then lastly, I think it will be live by the time this goes live, but I do have my nonfiction November TBR, which is about all the books I will be reading for the nonfiction November TBR, which will basically bring me up to December and almost winter. So be sure to check those out if you're interested. So yeah, with that, we have finished the Cozy Autumn book tag. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I personally love a tag because I get to know the booktuber a little bit more, so hopefully you feel the same. If you've done this tag, please do leave your video link in the comments section below, because I would love to watch yours. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!